Hey besties, welcome back again to my channel. Today we'll be making the viral Milky Doughnut recipe. Okay, everything from the dough to the filling and an additional bonus, which is the chocolate filling and the strawberry filling. You do not want to miss this, so sit back, relax, watch this video to the end and you can thank me later. As usual, all our ingredients have been pre-measured. We have 650 grams of flour, we have 120 grams of sugar, we have 2 eggs, 220 grams of water, room temperature water, margarine 65 grams. We have STK royal yeast. This is my favorite yeast and I'll show you how I preserve it. We have super milk flavor, we have nutmeg. You can feel free to add any other flavor of your choice to this recipe, but that's perfect. Now you need a stand mixer that is good, an industrial mixer, but if you don't have, you can just make do with your hands. All you need to do is mix the ingredients together without the margarine for 10 minutes, and when you're done, you include your margarine and mix for another 20 minutes. So the first thing we're going to do is to cut up the yeast, okay, and into an airtight container. You want to go ahead and pour your yeast into it, cover it tightly. Make sure you keep your yeast away from it. Don't keep it in your kitchen. Just keep it in any cool room you have, in your fridge or something like that. You want to make sure that there's no air also entering into your yeast, okay? So the first thing is to add 650 grams of flour. As I mentioned, I'm using golden penny flour today. I'm using 120 grams of sugar. You can feel free to increase your sugar to 140 grams, but this Milky Doughnut can be too sweet, so I don't want to. For my nutmeg, I used half teaspoon. You can add half teaspoon of cinnamon if you also love cinnamon, okay? And for my yeast, I'm using 1 tablespoon of yeast. You can see that I'm mixing everything gradually. I'm using 2 eggs, so I'm cracking in the second egg right now, and I'm going to go ahead and add in the water and also the margarine. If you're still watching up to this point, please like, comment and subscribe if you're yet to. Thank you. So now I've added my flavor. You can use 1/4 teaspoon of super milk or half teaspoon of super milk. You can also use vanilla flavor, strawberry flavor, whichever one you prefer. So I'm fixing my mixer now, the mixer bowl, and I'm going to take it to where I would mix it. I really don't like mixing donuts on the table, so I'd rather mix it on the floor. So the time for your mixing, if you're using industrial mixer, is 20 minutes, okay? You can stop your mixer at intervals, maybe after every 10 minutes, and just check. So right now it's been 20 minutes and I'm just going to show you how you know that your dough is ready. When you pull and you spread apart and your dough is not tearing, if it's stretchy like this without tearing easily, then your dough is ready. You want to go ahead and get your parchment paper or whatever you want to use for your donuts, but I'm using parchment paper, so I'll fold and cut into the numbers that I need, okay? And I'll get my tray, spread my parchment paper on it, sprinkle enough flour on the parchment paper to make sure that my dough does not deflate, because if you don't use enough flour, your dough might deflate, okay? So now you want to go and measure the whole of the dough. I measured everything and then I divided into 15. So this is 74 grams into 15 places. This recipe gives you 15 donuts, okay? So you want to go ahead and mold it as I'm doing in this video. It's quite easy to do. Just want to make sure that everything is neat and perfectly sealed, okay? And you want to make sure that you mold your dough as quick as possible before it starts to swell up or proof, okay? Make sure you seal everything. Sprinkle a little flour on the table and then slam your dough on the flour, slam it on the table a bit and just form the ball. The beauty of your donuts is solely dependent on how well you mix your dough and how well you mold your dough. So I'm sprinkling a little flour on the top of the molded donuts and I'm going to cover with nylon. This proofing should take about 40 minutes if the weather is not cold. So I'm going to cover it for 35 minutes, and after 35 minutes I'm going to open it and then preheat my oil while I open the proofed donuts for another 10 minutes so that it can have a smooth surface. And you can see what it looks like after 35 minutes of proofing. These donuts were made, I think, around 11, so the weather wasn't cold at all. But if you live in a place where it's cold, you want to go ahead and increase your time. I shook the donut for you to see that it's ready for you to fry. Unlike these ones that I just molded, you can see it's not shaking. But the other one I showed you, when I shook the pan, the second one I showed you that is ready for frying, immediately I shook the pan, you can see how the donut was shaking. So that's how you know that your donut is ready for frying. Now into your oil, you add in a little bit of flour, sprinkle a little bit, and if it sizzles a bit, you know it's time for you to go ahead and place your dough into the oil. So now just gently drop your donuts. You don't want to deflate your dough, you don't want to press it, and you don't want to overproof your dough. If you overproof your dough, it's going to get flat. It will shrink, it will get flat, it will have bubbles, it might crack, it might break, and what have you. But if you use the right proofing time, right mixing time, and you follow this recipe to the letter, you will get a beautiful and tasty donut. Okay, so you fry on both sides for 3 minutes each on medium heat, not high heat, not low heat, medium heat. You can see at this point I've taken out the donuts from the oil and I placed it on tissue paper. I have my milk now, and all I'm doing is to coat my milk. You can decide to coat every single thing without leaving the white lines, you know, revealing, or you leave it like I did here. You know, I left the white lines, you know, without covering it with milk. But you can decide to coat it with any amount of milk that you want, but make sure you coat it while it's still slightly warm. If you coat your donut while it's totally cold, it will be hard for the milk to stick to it. If your donut is not so sweet, maybe you reduced your sugar, you can decide to use icing sugar mixed with your powdered milk and also use it to coat. Okay, and if you have a customer or a client that has a sweet tooth, you can decide to increase your sugar a little bit. So all I'm doing now is to just coat my donuts in milk, and I'm arranging it into the boxes because we have a whole lot of deliveries for this day. But I chose to share this recipe just to help somebody out there who's probably looking for a good recipe for Milky Donuts. Okay, so to make our milky filling, I have powdered milk, and that's 100 grams of powdered milk. I have 200 grams of condensed milk, and I have 60 grams of whipping cream powder, 60 grams of cold water. In a bowl, I'm going to go ahead and add my whipped cream, my powdered milk, and the condensed milk, the water and the condensed milk. And I'm also going to mix this with my hand mixer. You need an hand mixer to do this. You're going to mix this for 3 to 5 minutes until it doubles in size and then it becomes slightly off-white. You'll see what that looks like in a bit. Okay, you can also use condensed milk and just powdered milk with a tablespoon of water if that's what you're going for. If it's watery, you add a little more powdered milk. If it's too thick, you thin it out with a little water. But I prefer this recipe. It's very nice and it's not sugary at all. So I have my strawberry filling. You can use any strawberry jam of your choice that you like, or any chocolate filling of your choice that you like. You can use Nutella. There are several in the market. You can try out. There's Le Bon. Okay, just use a good filling. And this is our milky filling. You can see what it looks like. It is not creamy in color. It's slightly off-white. Now, to fill your donuts, you need this spatula. Okay, if you take note of the shape, you see it. You need the spatula. You want to go ahead and measure the height of your donut before you dip in your spatula. Make enough space for the filling inside. Okay, but make sure that you do not puncture your donuts, you know, at the base. So you just want to go ahead and make the hole. You can twist it or turn it around. Just create a, you know, enough space for the milky filling. Okay, or you can also use a skewer. All you need to do is just dip your skewer in and keep going round. Create space for the filling. Okay, with this you might get, you know, less space than the spatula, depending on the way you do it. But if you still want to achieve the same thing, just make sure you create more space, and it's as simple as that. I'm used to spatula, so I still had to use my spatula because I'd like my clients or customers to have enough milky filling or enough chocolate filling, strawberry filling, whichever one they want. So I have my boxes. This is my box of 3, and I've already lined it with my grease paper. Okay, I'm just going to make sure that I place everything into the boxes. It's ready now for filling. Look at this gorgeous donut. So I have my strawberry filling, I've put it in my piping bag. I have my milky filling and chocolate filling, I've also put it in the piping bag. So it's time for us to fill our donuts. I'll be mixing the fillings. I have here milky filling. You can see that it's not runny, okay, it's thick, it's not runny, but there's a considerable amount of milky filling in that. And this is a chocolate filling. Like I said, you can use Nutella, you can use the Doughn chocolate filling, whatever filling of your choice. You can crush some Oreos into it, you can make strawberry filling. Okay, you can use any jam of your choice. Okay, there are several fillings and several recipes for your filling. Okay, it just depends on the one that you prefer. So I wanted to mention that you can store your condensed milk. When you open it, don't store it with the tin in your freezer. Pour it into an airtight container and put it in your freezer. That way, whenever you need it, it won't freeze, trust me, but it will get very cold. Whenever you need it, you measure the amount you need for this recipe. Okay, so if you're a business person, that's one way to manage your condensed milk. Okay, so we're filling it. We have more donuts going out today. I would also like to mention that your yeast, make sure you use fresh yeast all the time. Okay, if your yeast has been open for more than 2 weeks, you can just keep it for puff or something else and then get fresh yeast. Okay, if you know that you can't trust your yeast, because your yeast is the most important ingredient. Okay, that's aside, let's take a look at this gorgeous Milky Doughnut in all its glory. Okay, it's beautiful, it's fluffy, it's yummy. Let's just cut it and reveal. Okay, it is thick, it is not runny, it is not too sugary, it's yummy, it's mouth-watering, milky. Okay, eat one, eat two. If you enjoyed watching this video, please like, comment, subscribe. You can drop your comments or questions and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.